Hello and welcome. My name is Dawn Colby with DawnsEarlyInkings.com. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Durham, North Carolina. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to do another card video today, and I'm looking forward to it. It's a pretty card. Involves my favorite color, purple. First of all, I'd like to just remind everybody that the Sale-a-bration brochure celebration is lasting just 2 or 3 more days. So if you haven't gotten your free merchandise yet, if you want to place a $50 minimum order, you will receive something, get a free item from this catalog. Just as a reminder, the bedazzling paper is gone, and it looks like possibly the sheep dies are no longer available. They say they're on back order, and I thought they said when they were gone, but I'll have to check that. And, so I don't know it when I'm filming this. It's not going to be the day it's posted, so I don't know of anything else that's not available at this point. So you can email me at DawnsEarlyInkings@gmail.com for more information, unless you want to go online and place an order, and that will tell you what is not available. We are going to be working on a card. The set comes again from the mini catalog. So we are doing a Christmas card today. And I am going to be focusing on this stamp set, which is the, I don't know if you can see it all. I'll leave it on the table. That way you should be able to see it all. The Words of Cheer stamp set. And this is the stamp set. There we go. And I've got some of the stamps out, so they're not in the case, so I'm not going to open the case because I'm ready to I was getting ready for this video. As part of the bundle for this set is the Christmas Cheer die set. And there are 12, let me flip those right side up. So there are 12 dies, and there are 2 dies. These are the 2 that we'll be using today. They're happy dies, and they layer. And I'll show you that in a minute. And this right here cuts out the poinsettia? Not sure. And then the cheer does the same thing. They layer on top of one another. Really nice. I haven't used those, so if that gives you a hint. There's also some holly, some stars, some greenery. Looks like pine boughs maybe. I do love the greetings. They're kind of all-purpose, and they're season's greetings as well as holidays for those people that may not celebrate Christmas, but you want to send them a holiday card. Okay. So this is the card we are making today. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you a couple of other ways that I made the card. And this is what I settled on. I really like this combination. I am a purple fanatic, so that's why I chose purple ultimately to do this card. I will show you what we're going to be using. So we're going to use the Stamparatus today. So we are using some gray granite ink, Blackberry Bliss, Old Olive, and some Versamark. So those are the ink colors that we're using, plus the Versamark. We are also using some Blackberry Bliss cardstock. Let me get my paper out here. We're using a half sheet of Blackberry Bliss cardstock, and I'm going to cut it. I've cut it 4 1/4 by 11 for the base. This is going to be a layer. This is a layer. This is the silver, the lightest color in the silver foil specialty pack. Sorry. And we're going to cut a square out of the middle of it so we can get that happy so we can get this happy out of here without, so that we don't need an extra piece of cardstock, foil rather. So that's a neat tip. That's a way to save some paper. And then we're also using the shimmer vellum, the in-color shimmer vellum in Fresh Freesia. I don't know if you can see the shimmer of the Fresh Freesia, but that's there. And then we're going to die cut out this piece. This is where we're going to use the Stamparatus. And then I did some stamp surgery, and I'll tell you a little more about that later. I'll set that aside for now. Okay. So probably the first thing I would say, I'm going to move these aside because we don't need them at the moment. The first thing I would say is let's cut that rectangle out of our cardstock. And I am going to cut, see, I did a 3/4 of an inch on this one. I think I'll do 1/2 inch here. And let me turn this around. Makes more sense. Because I need to use these numbers as well. You'll see what I'm saying if you don't already, if you've not done this before. So I'm going to start, this is a 1/2 inch right here at this mark. Oh boy. Hold please. Okay. I'm going to do it this way so you can see, because I don't think you can see the other way. All right. So I'm going to use these numbers here along this ruler, and I'm going to use this over here. So to this line right here, that's a 1/2 inch, just like this is a 1/2 inch on this side. It's just, they give us, looks like about 1.5 inches over on this side, in case it's a small piece of paper. So that's helpful because I can go to 1.5 inches, and then I'm going to raise my thing, and I've got it at 1/2 inch right here. So I'm going to go down to about 4 3/4, maybe a little less. And I'm going to lift it up. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go 1/2 inch. And I'm going to go down to about 1/2 inch here. And I'll lift it up. If I didn't go in one direction, I'm sorry, I meant to do that. So we're going to go up here, and we're going to, this is a line right here where the blade ends. So I'll lift that up. And then I'm going to go to a 1/2 inch here. Line that blade up. And go down and cut just to where that line is. That little. And voila. Okay, so we're going to use this to cut the happy out. And hopefully we'll also be able to use this piece to mat the grading there. Okay, so I'm going to set this rectangle aside. So we're done with this for right now. So, and we're going to use this happy, and all right, so for this I'm going to use my adhesive sheet. Now I've already cut out, this is the other. So this is the other happy. This is the, I call the non-detailed happy, the smaller happy. I've already cut this out and I already put adhesive back. Adhesive sheets. This is what they come 6 by 12, and I think you get 10 of them. 10 or 12. I can't remember. 12 right there. And so it just, for these more intricate die cuts, it just makes it easier. So I've already done this one. I've already die cut it out, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I think the easiest way to do this, it has 3 strips across the piece of adhesive backing. And I think the easiest thing to do is to simply put it against the edge and kind of, so you can, and you can cut this off. This is just the, oh, and I cut too much. That's just the top, the like label sticker. All right, so now I'm going to take and I'm going to cut along this edge. So this doesn't have adhesive, but that's okay because I'm going to put my happy on this side. Since it's a bigger piece than we need for the happy. So I'm going to die cut it just like that. And let me grab so I'm going to stick this in here. I didn't pre-cut this one because I wanted to show you what I was doing. So, oops. Okay. All right. So there we go. Move this out of the way. And then we have our happy. Take this. I'm just going to poke out these tiny pieces. There we go. Since they have adhesive on them and they sometimes can fall off, I like to get them out of the way. There we go. Okay, so now I'll probably say this again, but just be very careful about taking this out. All right. So what I'm going to do at this point, so let me put these back so I do not lose them. The other night I found my cat ran off with one of my dies. He was in front of the TV, downstairs, mind you, where my craft room is upstairs. And he was playing with something. I'm like, what has he got? And so I went over to him to see what he had. He had one of my little dies from the classic cloche set. Ah, that little bugger. All right, so let me get this backing off. Easier said than done. I have no fingernails, so I'm going to be just gentle here taking this off because it can really rip easily. Ask me how I know. Or don't. Just assume that I ripped one. Good, I did. Okay. Whoops, and now it's sticking all over to me. So now I'm just going to try to center this as best I can. It's a little, I won't say it's difficult, but it's a little persnickety. And you have a few minutes. You have a minute. If you don't like it, you can adjust it a little bit. As long as you don't really stick it down. So you can see how you can move it. But now I'm going to go like that. So now lifting it up probably won't be possible. So, all right. So I'm going to set that aside because that's going to come back later. Okay. put that off to the side. Let's do the stamping part, or the poinsettia at least. Oops. So this is my Stamparatus. I don't know how many of you are familiar with it. I do love the Stamparatus. I need to put a piece of tape on that, like this one. And don't do that. This makes it easier to grab when you put a piece of tape around it and have a tail on it. And again, don't do that because they can break and they can hurt when they break. So that's why they're separated on the back. All right, so here's what I've done. This has gotten some use because I've done this a few times just to test. So I went ahead and did a die cut, and then I lined up the stamp. So can I find the die cut I did? All right. So I already went and die cut out this outline piece from a piece of white cardstock. Let's see, can I get it? Yeah, there we go. So I already cut that out with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Oh, man. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to stick this in here. Okay. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And I'm just going to, pardon my head in case it gets in the way. All right. Looks good from before. So, and this is nice if you're mass producing. You can die cut a bunch, then you can stamp them. And so we're going to stamp this and then color it in with our blends. Hey, at least we're not fussy cutting, for those of you who hate to color. A lot of coloring. I don't know that I will mass produce anything that this year that takes a lot of coloring just for time purposes. But let's see. So I'm gonna make sure that gets a good pressure. There we go. And so what we're going to do is we're going to come back after we color it in with our blends, like I've done here. And I'm only going to do a little bit of this. I've already got one done, so I'm not going to make you suffer through it with me. All of it. We're going to come back and we're going to put this back in the Stamparatus. We're going to stamp it with a Versamark ink, and then we are going to put silver embossing powder on it and heat set that. So that's because if you use your blends and the embossing powder, it could ruin your tips. So that's why I like to come back in with the Versamark and the heat embossing after it's already done to finish. Hope that makes sense. We'll revisit that here in a little bit. So let me close my gray granite. And the gray granite, I only used it because it's close to silver. And it's light, fairly light. That's why I picked it. Kind of like if you guys have done no-line watercoloring, it's kind of sort of on the same idea. So I'm using Old Olive Stampin' Blends, Blackberry Bliss, Dark and Light, and Fresh Freesia Dark and Light. So I'm just going to hit some highlights here, just so that you can see what I did. So let's tackle the big poinsettia in the middle. All right, and I'm going to use the bullet tip. I am not going to use the brush tip. If I had a really big area, I'd use the brush tip, but I'm not. Yeah. So what I like to do first is I like to go through and I like to put some color here because this is where their leaves meet, and so there's going to be extra shading there. And I don't always do every other one like I think I'm going to, because I look at it and I go, oh, oops. So I'm just going to go do each of the leaves here. And again, I'm just going to do this one poinsettia. I'm not going to do all the poinsettias. Okay. So again, using the brush tip. So now I'm just going to go in and do a little bit around those edges where the two sides of the leaves meet. And it's really just a thin line. Okay, I think I got them all. Okay, here we go. Sometimes I'll do some of the leaves, not all the leaves at the same time. They seem to blend better when they stay wetter. So some of this may have dried a little bit. And it is very important to have paper underneath it in case it bleeds through. I'm using the thin basic white, or the regular basic white, not the thick, basically. But it might be better to use the thick basic white when you're coloring with blends. I know a lot of people prefer that. I tend to grab what's closest, and that's what was closest. And I also find that in smaller spaces, I like to do circles. I think it's easier for me, and I can keep more control of the blend. Okay, so now for these little leaves inside the poinsettia, hopefully I'm in the camera here. So this is the dark fresh freesia, and I'm just coloring inside those. And then I'm using the light fresh freesia for these little berries, just to go along with the color scheme. I know that the berries are usually red and the leaves are green, but you know, it's card making. It's my card, whatever color I want it to be. Alright, and then because these leaves are so small, these 3 holly leaves, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of outline the middle. And then I'm just going to color in. I do like to usually start with my light first, but for these I usually just do the two coats. Alright. So there we go. So, and I didn't do one that's finished but not embossed. So, I'm going to get the Stamparatus back out. And I'm putting this ink pad here only because it's about the right height. It's the same as like putting a stamp case underneath there as well. Okay, so let me see. Let me just clean this off. We don't want our gray granite on there. So I'm just going to show you basically what happens when you do this. It's just not all colored in. Okay. So you put it, you should kind of stick right in there. And alright, I'm going to take the Versamark. Actually, before we do the Versamark, I know we don't sell those anymore, but this is a very important step, especially on this little image, because I didn't do it on one of the ones I made, and yeeks. There was embossing powder everywhere. Alright, so I'm just inking this up really good. And then I just like to eyeball it, see if it's in the right spot. Looks like it is. And again, we're going to give it some good pressure. Because you can't see Versamark, so you don't know how well you've inked it. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. We're done with that, hopefully. So now I'm going to take my grid paper that I would use with my Stamparatus. And then I'm going to take my silver embossing powder and just now. I will warn you, since this is a small piece of paper and the image is close to the edges, be very careful heat embossing. Okay, so alright, let me put this right here for right now. Let me clean this up first before disaster happens or a cat comes along. Because you know, they are a disaster waiting to happen most of the time. At least mine are. I hope yours aren't, but I can only guess. Okay. So now, let me get my embossing gun out. Now, I usually have a clothespin, but I can't find it right now. So I have this contraption that I think they used to sell. It says alligator dove. I think it's for painting. I think I bought it to go with like little cotton balls, tiny ones, to do coloring of some sort, maybe with ink or something. But anyway, I find that it helps to hold it. So what I've been doing is hopefully you can hear me above this. So I'm going to let this heat up for a few seconds. Alright. So I'm going to heat this up. And see how it's starting to yow! It's warm and toasty on the fingers. Okay, so I'm going to turn that off for a second. Let it cool. Since this thing has teeth, I'm really I try to be careful where I stick it. That's why I think a clothespin would be better. But I didn't want to do it while it was hot because I didn't want it to make a mark in the embossing powder. The only thing is this is there's no edge, so that's why you have to be careful. But I also don't want to burn my fingers. So now I'm going to emboss the rest of it. Whee! I love this process. It's so cool. Sorry, had to move my hand there. It was... And just make sure all of it is melted, and I just do a quick whoop over it. See if I can turn this off. And by the magic of television or video or whatever you would like to call it, I have one that is already all colored and done. Ta-da! Okay. So now we are going to put our card, we're going to start assembling our card. So let me, 5.5. Oh, what happened to my, oh, there it is. My scoring blade fell out. In case that happens, there is this little, I don't know if you can see it, this little nook right here where that's where they kind of come out, and you can put them back in. So, which is how you also replace your cutting blade. Okay, so A nice crisp fold, as they say. And then we are going to look for the adhesive. Okay. Okay, it's a new roll of seal. So I don't know that that's why I'm having issues. I think it's the adhesive user, not the adhesive itself. There. All right, I'm gonna put it like this. So let's see if I can't get it to be even here. And if it's not, it's not. Let me see. Will this make it better or worse? Oh, that seems to be okay. All right. So now we're going to put this here like this. So see, it covers up the spot where we cut out our rectangle. So now I'm just putting adhesive on the back of my white layer, and I'm going to try to get that as centered as possible. There we go. This is the Fresh Freesia Shimmer Vellum. So pretty. Okay, so let's see on this card. It doesn't appear that it shows through. I know normal vellum, you can't really put adhesive on back because it will show through your card. This doesn't seem to, but what I've been doing is I take and put a strip there. That's where the happy is going to go. And then I'm going to put, oops, like that where the poinsettia is going to go. That way I know that if that it shouldn't show through because there'll be something on top of it, basically. Because, you know, video camera's rolling and I can't talk when that happens. So, all right. So, let's put the happy on first. Let's see if I can, oh, there we go. Miracles never cease. Okay, so what we're going to do, uh-oh, I may have an incoming cat. So, beware if I do. I may have to pause. All right, I'm gonna put the happy right there. You gonna say hi, Acadia? Hey, pretty girl. What's going on? All right. So I'm also going to stick this down. There she is. You can see the edge of her. Acadia, bud, can we do this later? Hi. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. So, I put adhesive on here. So, we'll do that. Okay. So, let's see here. So now we've got to do our greeting. That's, to me, that was the hardest part of the card. Yep. All right, let's see. Here are the stamps. So I did some surgery on my stamps. And I'm not one to do surgery on my stamps. I will be honest. I like to keep things as they come and not do surgery. But this stamp here, Happy Christmas from my home to yours, is supposed to be one stamp. I sliced it apart so I could use Christmas and the from my home to yours, because I've already got the happy, so I don't need happy here. So, and that way I could stamp it in the 2 different colors that I want to stamp it in. Okay. So, we'll take and stamp the Christmas. We can get that out of the way for right now. So, Christmas. You could mask it with a piece of Post-it tape or a Post-it note, but I just figured I would do it this way. And incoming comes my other cat, Mr. Josh. Hi, Josh. Can we help you? Yeah, you missed the ink blending. I know that's your favorite part, bud. Can you let me do some stamping? I think it's his dinner time, so that's why why they're both up here bugging me. Alright, where did my... Oh, there it is. It's been sitting here the whole time. Okay. So now I'm going to attempt to stamp from my home to yours on this piece of paper without messing up. Ah, sweet. But I did get ink on my fingers there. Par for the course. And okay. Alright, I just sliced that off with my trimmer. And now I'm looking for where did it go? Hello. Oh goodness. Here it is, right in front of my nose. Alright, so I am going to stick that there for better or for worse. Let me get my newer scissors. I have 2 pair of snips. One's just older, so I just feel like these are probably sharper. That's why I wanted these instead. Now, I'm not exactly the straightest cutter in town, so that's also why I wanted these, because I figured. Ta-da! And I have some of that adhesive on the bottom, but I'm going to put this up on dimensionals. Yes, thank you. So I'm trying to decide. I might just leave that on there like that. That way. And there's a reason I put a space in the middle. So here we go. Put that there. And then what I did was I colored these basic rhinestones with the dark Blackberry Bliss Stampin' Blend. So just to kind of create some separation on this greeting. Oh, shoot. That's okay. All right. So there's that. And then I hadn't decorated the inside of my card, but bear with me here 1 second. 5 1/4. Oops. No, how about 4? 5 1/4. So for the inside of the card, let's see. I'm going to do wishing you a joyful Christmas. And I'm also going to use the holly leaves and the holly berries. Okay. Let's see. I may regret this, but there are 2 sides to every sheet of paper. Sorry, I don't have these blocks out since I didn't pre-plan this part of the project. Okay. So I am going to stamp those in Old Olive. Let's see, we'll just do each corner. And then not sure really where these should go. And I am so not in the picture. And okay, I've not stamped with this stamp yet. So where is my Stampin' Pierce mat? That is a Stampin' Pierce mat. I've got some grid paper over it. All right, let's see. Hail Mary, blah, blah, blah. Please be straight. Ah, beautiful. Okay. So. All right, and there we go. Happy Christmas from my home to yours. Wishing you a joyful Christmas. Good deal. Please, if you like the card and like the video, if you'll give me a thumbs up. I would also appreciate it if you would subscribe. Hit the bell if you'd like notifications when I post a video. I'm hoping to get something up on World Card Making Day. So that's kind of in the plan. Hopefully that comes to fruition. But remember, Sale-a-bration ends September 30th. And if you need a catalog, annual catalog, or the mini catalog, please let me know. There's a place on my website to contact me. My email, donsearlyinkings@gmail.com. You can also reach me there if you would like to request a catalog from me. I'll be happy to send you one. I'd be happy to be your demonstrator in your business.